I understood you correctly, you said that 40% of the aid goes back to the donor countries. Would you please elaborate on that? And then could I ask a second question? Would you comment on what just took place in Bombay?
Sure. The 40%, that's because much of the aid provided, some, I would say, 15 to 16 billion dollars, just reconstruction versus military. If you look at the balance, first of all, between development and security, there's a wide gap between the two. Much of our resources, of the international community, have been gone to military operations by those countries, the coalition and the NATO ISAF. It is in the area of 80% to 85% military spending and 15% reconstruction. Reconstruction meaning everything: rule of law, governance, democracy, human rights, civil society, everything that you can imagine is under reconstruction, and about 15%, which is not enough. And of that money, 16 billion, a fraction of it has gone to the Afghan government, about less than $2 billion, so $1.6 billion. The rest have been channeled through private sector contractors, major multinationals, which get these contracts from donors and then subcontract them, I think at least 4 or 5 times. That the subcontractor subcontracts regionally, domestically, and because each layer of contracting basically takes away 15 to 30% of the aid monies as overhead costs. So by the time the money reaches the beneficiaries, it touches the ground in Afghanistan. It's in the area of 10 to less than 10%. So what we then end up is schools without roofs, or clinics without windows, or schools without teachers or chairs. It's because everyone gets their money, they do whatever they can, and then they quit. And then also the situation with expensive consultants who are contracted on short-term basis, 6 months to a year, and they're paid, of course, a lot of money because no one would be willing to go and work under hardship in an insecure situation. So the excuse is that the Afghan government does not have that sort of capacity. How can we create a sort of capacity if we do not work with the government and build this capacity? We didn't go to Afghanistan to work with a functioning government. The government ceased to exist in Afghanistan a long time ago. And Afghanistan does have a history of weak stateness, that even before the Soviets invaded Afghanistan, we had weak state institutions because the process of state building started too late in Afghanistan. And so then decades of destruction and war, and then the state totally collapsed and ceased to exist. So when the international community re-engaged in 2001, they had to start and rebuild a state from scratch. Unfortunately, they have not done that. They've just created a state in name, of course, by holding elections, by holding parliamentary elections, and standing up physical structures, but they've done nothing or close to nothing to equip those buildings, to train its staff, to help pay those staff so they stay. The capacity that the Afghan people have to stay in the government now and for the long run, that when the international community is gone, the Afghans themselves do their job. And so the capacity that we do have ended up working as drivers and cooks and so forth for the NGOs. Once the NGOs go, well, then those Afghans either could leave or end up doing something else. So that's one reason how money has been wasted but not made the impact that it should. As far as the situation in Mumbai, we have been saying, the Afghan people and the Afghan government, as early as 2003, that the problem in Afghanistan is regional. It's global, of course. That unless we truly shut down terrorist sanctuaries, and most cases safe sanctuaries, on the other side of the border in Pakistan, and effectively target their leadership, that they would one day come back. In case of Afghanistan, they did. In case of Pakistan, they're a major problem, and now they're expanding their reach even to India. They're a problem. I think they should be tackled as soon as possible, not just in Afghanistan, but in areas where they originate, where they are maintained financially, logistically, militarily, in terms of, getting arms and training and ideological indoctrination, and all of that is in Pakistan. And we hope that the international community recommit to addressing this problem together and securing Pakistan's sincere cooperation in the fight against terrorism and extremism, which is now also a major problem in Pakistan. And as I pointed out, we are working with the civilian government in Pakistan, which is very committed to fighting extremism in Pakistan, to solve this problem collectively in the region, and with support from allies like the United States. Sure.
Talk to us a little bit about rebuilding the educational system in Afghanistan. My main worry is, everyone my generation and younger has only seen war, and I'm worried about a leadership void, coming up with this next generation to move the country forward.
I agree. Education is key to any country's long-term socioeconomic development, and in case of Afghanistan, we suffered from 3 decades of brain drain. I mean, whatever brain we have left Afghanistan, and then, a whole generation, that's my generation, is basically grown up illiterate. And then the only thing that we have known is war, distraction, misery, and perhaps there were very few young Afghans who, like myself, try to hope against hope and self-teach and hope that someday I could get out and get an education and make a difference in Afghanistan. So a lot of the militias, former combatants, and foot soldiers of the Taliban that you see today are those young Afghans or Pakistanis too, that have no opportunities, no prospect for a life ahead. All they see is war and distraction and poverty, and they're very vulnerable. Terrorists like Al Qaeda and the rest, capitalize on their frustration, on, of course, a lack of opportunities for their future, and brainwash them and madrasas because of, again, lack of economic opportunities and as well as social opportunities. In case of Pakistan, one reason why a lot of people send their kids to madrasas is because the madrasas do, provide them with some housing and food, because, the parents may be too poor to, support a large family, and state schools are not there, and so forth. So there's a reason why also the ranks of the Taliban, especially the rank and file, is so large, and we believe that we can easily win them over, especially the fighters, because their heart is not really with the ideology of the core leadership of the Taliban to kill and maim civilians and destroy their own country.